Now I know what you're saying here. Well, there's Roman emperors, and there's these weird birth stories there, and there's these weird narratives there, and all that other kind of stuff. I get it. I think if God is going to do special things like this, he's going to communicate it, and first of all, in ways that people already understand and are talking about, for one thing. But we have to evaluate the historicity of the actual testimony itself, right? And so, like, I think in the video you brought up Caesar Augustus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had this apotheosis and all that other stuff, right? So there's criteria that we can look at and kind of filter out miracle claims before we even investigate them, because nobody wants to waste their time herring after every stupid miracle claim out there, because there's a lot of them, and who has time to look at all of them? But we don't want to just dismiss all of them because, right, they look like a duck and quack like a duck and smell like a duck and lay eggs or whatever. Anyway, but the point is we can filter them out. So with the thing with Augustus, okay, who's going to get persecuted and killed for saying that he rose from the dead or had an apotheosis or was born of a virgin or something like that? I mean, I know it's not a virgin birth, but he had a miraculous birth or whatever. Well, nobody. Everything. No. I'm not saying that would prove it. I'm not at all saying that would prove it at all. I'm not even saying that. But what we can do is we can take a look and say, okay, what are some of the claims that are being made out there for miracles, and how can we filter them out?
Everything you said, I agree with, on the fact that I would not agree with Apollonius Tyana actually being divine. I don't think that Vespasian really healed anyone. Maybe they put the guy up to it and paid him to act. Maybe this is like a third world country magic trick on people. Who knows? I don't know. I wasn't there, but I don't think he did that. I would do the same thing all across the board. Where we're going to disagree, obviously, is when I start to go to the New Testament. When I do the same thing you're doing to all of these other claims in other religions, I get to the New Testament and I see problems. And I don't agree with the time, right? So you would say early on a lot of the dating of these things. I'd go a little later, not ridiculously later, but as Richard C. Miller points out in his book about the eyewitnesses that come forward about Caesar's apotheosis, 2 to 3 days after the Caesar dies on the pyre, eyewitnesses come forward saying they saw him post-death ascend into heaven. It only takes 2 or 3 days for a legend or a claim. Hold on, let me just real quick.
Yeah, you're fine.
It only takes a couple days for a legend or a claim to happen. And now we've got this system, this tradition that's already packaging this going on. I don't buy it. I think people think they see things all the time. Maybe the guy was wanting to get paid. I don't know. I wasn't there. At the end of the day, I wouldn't rule out that there are motivating factors for Paul. Paul could be doing things that the way you're reading him versus the way I'm reading him, we draw different conclusions maybe on how we're viewing Paul's letters and what he's trying to do, how we're seeing the Gospels, what kind of literature. And I'm just trying to treat all of it, including how I'm poking holes at Joseph Smith, including all the other stuff. And that's how I see it. I think I'm being fair and balanced by doing it all across the board.
Okay, Jesus did this. Let's compare it to what Elijah did. I'd be perfectly fine with them if they did the same thing with like Julius Caesar or Caesar Augustus. That wouldn't necessarily follow, though, to the conclusion that this is not true. I mean, I firmly believe Paul was quoting Aristotle a couple times. I think he was very aware of his book Politics and was basing a lot of his ethical ideas on Aristotle. Like he directly quotes him in like Romans 2:15, as well as Galatians 5, for example. But like, why does it have to be like, they're doing these things and then therefore, well, if they're borrowing things from like other works, therefore they're doing exactly what the other works are doing? I don't think that necessarily follows, because I'm willing to go down the path with you on a lot of this stuff. Like I'm perfect.
I hope you will, Michael. I want you to.
I'm reading Jeffrey Tripp now. But I mean, I'm not. I was actually happy with his paper, as I said, and his book's on my list now.
Well, let me ask you this then.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start arguing with IP here. No, I'm just kidding.